this section, we're going to be talking about keyframing. So remember, we talked about keyframing in the edit page, and we can do the exact same thing in the color grading page. And when is it necessary? Let me just grab a clip. Let's just take an example of this clip. Yeah, I will just get rid of the audio. So we're going to be going to the color grading page. Say, for example, if the exposure was super low in the beginning, and then later on, if the exposure went really high, what we can do. So I can just make another node, and that you can do with exposure, saturation, anything. So I can just make another node and just write as keyframing example. So this is just an example, so I'm just asking you to assume that the exposure was, say, super low in the beginning. What we can do, we can make some keyframing. So keyframing window is here. So if you are on the scopes, you can just click on this keyframing. And if I want this keyframe section to be a little bit bigger, I can press this arrow. So then the graph is gone. Let's go back to keyframing. And you can see there's a list of correctors, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, because we have 7 nodes. Yes, we do have 7 nodes. I was just counting. And the corrector is because we have 7 nodes. And if you want to make change in the third node, then we can put a keyframe here. So now what's going to happen is whatever change we would make, that would be stored here. So say, for example, at this position, if the brightness of the image was super low, I can bring this up, or I can also just bring the shadows up. For example, it was a really dark image, so I'll bring the shadows, say 100, and then here, when we came to this point, let's say 6 seconds, then the exposure went pretty good. Like then the exposure went to neutral exposure. So then I would just make it 0 as how it is. So at this point, we made 2 keyframes. The first was here, the shadows was 100, and second was here, the shadows was 0. And you can see there is like a triangle, a really elongated triangle, and that kind of shows that the shadow value, it's not gonna change instantaneously. I hope. If you look in the image, you can see that the shadows here, of course, the value is not changing as how it was in the edit page, but if I play the video, you can actually see in the video that there's not abrupt shadow change. It goes back to neutral and you don't even realize it. And let's say at 9 seconds, we want the shadows to be up again. So it goes back here to neutral, and then you can see the exposure kind of going up, and that DaVinci does it really gradually, and you don't have to do anything here. So yeah, you don't have to do anything, and this I just did it with exposure, changing the shadows. You can also do with saturation. So which node is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's a 5th node. So if I just maybe set up a keyframe here, the saturation, what we chose and what we made 50% here, let's make it 2. And we can do the exact same here. If it goes here, we can make the saturation 0. So you can see that there was a keyframe here with a diamond, there's a keyframe here, and you can also just drag and, change the position of the keyframes. So that's how you can do keyframing in the color grading tab as well. And you can do the exact same thing for these Windows panel as well. So if I go here, then you can see the circle. If you want to make the circle bigger, for example, here, let the circle size be this. And then if we go here, if we want the circle to be really small, you can do that as well. So we didn't make any, yeah. So you can see that the circle is kind of changing. So yeah, that's how you can do keyframing in the color grading page in DaVinci Resolve.